So, episode 8 of Buddy Daddies ends in a pretty explosive way. We see Uncle Q get a message from Ray's father. All it has is a picture of our precious girl Miri and, of course, Kazuki. And it more or less symbolizes that they are considered an issue, a problem that needs to be solved, and most likely indicating that they are intended to be eliminated for good. And given what we learned about Ray's father in this episode, after being teased of the type of teachings he would give him when he was only a child, forced to take care of dogs in such a brutal and violent fashion, to see ultimately the conundrum pop up where clearly he wants to go back and just have a normal life with the family he's now built with his best friend and of course his adoptive daughter. But Ray's father wants him to inherit the business, and feelings don't come in the way of that. And seemingly, the only thing that's going to stop Ray from truly being manipulated for his entire life by this man that's supposed to love him is most likely that man targeting his real family, and that probably breaking the shackles that have chained him down for so long. Buddy Daddies is an incredible show. It hits you in the emotions, both comfy and painstakingly depressing, and honestly, it's fantastic. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's episode available on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full thoughts to today's wonderful Buddy Daddies episode, head on over there and consider supporting. Because this show, it's been amazing since episode 1, and honestly, it's one of the rare shows that I find honestly gets better the more episodes you watch. There's never been a dip in quality. It started out fantastic, and honestly, the peak moments like Kazuki's moment last week in terms of the misunderstanding with the sister-in-law, to the flashback and just learning about present day Ray's content with his family. Everything about this show hits absolutely different in a way that I really haven't experienced in a father-daughter story before in anime. Now, this episode was a lot different in tone compared to last week. Now, last week definitely had its depression, but I think if you compare the overall vibe, especially with Kazi going out partying and just honestly trying to bury his dark secrets with booze, alcohol, women, whatever else he could get his hands on, compared to our boy just immediately feeling depressing on his birthday, to then going home and more or less being told, hey, the man who trained you, who taught you everything you know, go kill him. He betrayed the organization. If you even dare to ask why did he betray, you basically get laughed at. Don't ask stupid questions, follow the orders, be a yes man, don't have an individual personality. You have this scumbag in the car who, this has to be one of the most disturbing and hateable characters I think I've seen in a hot minute in anime. So you have this booklet, right? Most people keep their notes of the day, maybe a grocery list, things you don't want to forget. This man, I hate it, but I love it, okay? So I love it when an anime like this uses characters like these, but I hate them on a personal level despite them being fictional. Had this man been in any other profession, he would literally become a serial killer that would either get away with unsolved mysteries, or he would be in jail and honestly would be rotting in a cell, never changing his moral compass. Because the fact that there are moments and scenes, I can't even show some of these scenes, like what he did to this man's wife, it is so disturbing and there's no remorse. And the fact that he keeps the last words of every victim that he ends up killing or is associated with on a mission. The fact that he's like, hey, once you kill this man, make sure you get his last words. I want to put his last words with his girls here. Like, just every time you think you can't hate the man more, he just finds a way to say something or give you a look that makes you want to wipe that smug look off his face. And seriously, you literally put a lunatic in charge of a job that is so perfect for him, because had he been in a normal part of society, he literally would have just became a criminal with no one praising him. Right now, he's just a criminal doing things for a good payday, but seriously, the dude's an absolute lunatic. But given the fact that we haven't had a good action scene in a while, this was a great episode, especially given that this is the man who trained our boy with a lot of what he knows. So a lot of their moves were more or less like kind of fighting a mirror, right? Whatever they were doing with a knife or a gun is very similar to what the other would do to them. And honestly, by the end of the episode, what I thought was going to happen was he was just going to let him go, because what I'm used to seeing happen in a scene like this, where, I mean, I can even look at some of my favorite games like the Mafia series, like in Mafia 1. Not going to give specifics, but there's moments in Mafia stories where, like, you're supposed to kill someone, but you let them go and you say that, oh, yeah, I took care of it. And they just believe you because you have no reason to lie, given that if you lied, you'd probably get whacked and obviously you'd lose everything you have. So the fact that they're building into it and then he like leans up against like the railing there, I thought for sure they were going to catch him. He would like shake hands or something, say he killed him, maybe kill the dude down below. I don't know. Like I just figured they were going to go that direction. It would start the momentum of him separating himself from his father. And instead, he couldn't save him. At the very least, he didn't pass on his final words to that scumbag, because that dude did not deserve any sort of happy ending, and for him, honestly, getting those last words probably was his happy ending. But the fact that all of this happens on literally our boy's birthday, and he is so just reflecting on everything he's done, for so long just being numb to all the murder and pain he's inflicted on people, whether he's justified it or been told it's been justifiable, at the end of the day, he's regretting the amount of blood that's on his hands. And then in comes Kazuki to bring him home so that our sleepy girl could sort of sing happy birthday as we get a genuine smile. To have all of that happen, have so much despair and darkness from his real family and what he's supposed to inherit, is that really living? Is that even worth living? Like, what do you need that empty ass mansion for if that's the type of life you're gonna live? And then he comes home to a pretty nice apartment with a general family dynamic. Of course that's what he wants, but now the fact that seemingly Papa Dearest is trying to target them, now I would be shocked if that picture wasn't meant to be like, we're going to kill them. Maybe it's a warning, maybe it gets escalated after, but seemingly the only way that we get through this is if we kill the dad of Rei. Like, I really feel that way. Unless there's some ounce of like, you know, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day, I just don't see how he's gonna let his future heir go unless he obviously ends up dead or something. I just don't see a happy ending in that direction, but what an episode of Buddy Daddies. I've been a big supporter of this show since episode 1. I think I was one of the biggest supporters early on for this show. But to see the momentum for this series get larger and larger as it progresses, I had a feeling something like this would happen, but I figured it would happen closer to like the end of the show or maybe even seasons down the line. But very quickly, I think a lot of people latched on that this wasn't some random romance anime, it wasn't some random family anime, it wasn't some random assassin anime. It was Buddy Daddies, this show about showing 3 tragic characters from 3 very different walks of life build a family dynamic in some of the most wholesome ways imaginable, but has such a bloody aura surrounding it, whether it's Miri's father and what happened to her. And, you know, there's a moment in this episode where she's comparing the fact that, you know, because she's asking like, hey, is Rei upset, right? And Kazuki being Kazuki saying like, no, that's just how he always looks. Yeah, but when mom would drink, she used to, you know, seem happy, but there was obviously sadness there. Like, stuff like that hits extra hard given what we know about these characters, and whether it's the pregnant wife and what happened with Kazuki, to Rei's father, to Miri's family dynamic, this show is unlike anything I've seen in this type of show. And honestly, I just love what PA Works is doing here. And honestly, while I see a progression of how to wrap this all up in a 12-episode anime run, I can see a potential for a season 2 easy with this one, but only time will tell. But of course, I'll pass the torch over to you. What did you think of Buddy Daddies episode 8, and where do you think that cliffhanger is going to go next week? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, be sure to ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and of course, as I mentioned, I do have that full live reaction available on my Patreon. While you're there, you can also get yourself a video shoutout. So today, we have George, Durberg Jude, Diark Lord, Fang 2, Harry Truscott, and Diedrich Savant. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.